Hi. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about our topic. Today we're going to talk about rational numbers, specifically fractions and decimals. So our goal for today is we're going to write fractions as decimals, and then we're going to flip that, and then we're going to write decimals as fractions. Now there's a couple of very common fraction decimals that I'd like you to kind of memorize or put into memory. 1/4 is equal to 25 hundredths, or 0.25. 1/2 is equal to 0.5, or 5 tenths, or 50 hundredths. 3/4 is the same thing as 0.75, or 75 hundredths. Here, a little bit trickier. 1/3 is the same as 0.3 with the line above it. That line above it is a repeating decimal, which means that this 3 goes on forever and ever and ever and does not stop. 2/3 is also a very common type of decimal as well. It is 0.6 or 6. In this case, the 6 goes on and repeats for a long time. Okay, at this point, take your time and stop it right here. Write down these common fraction decimals, and we're going to get going. Alright, our first goal is to write fractions as decimals. And this part's pretty easy. You just have to use a little bit of long division. So let's go ahead and start putting in some things. So alright, so you have 2 divided by 5. And that basically means this 2 is being divided by 5. So the 2 goes in here, and then the 5 goes out here. Some people might use the in and out rule. In, out, okay? And here we have 5 goes into 2. Now since 5 cannot go into 2, we're going to go ahead and put some helpers or some holders. So let's go ahead and put in some 0.0. And we can put in as many zeros here because it's not going to change the value of this. If I put an extra zero, it doesn't change it to 2,000 or 200. It still is 2. Okay? Think of it as money. If I put another 0 here, it's still $2. It doesn't make it 20. Wish it did. So here, let me just extend this right here. And let's go ahead and solve. So 5 can't go into 2, so we're going to go and put a 0 up here. And then I'm going to take 5 into, well, since that doesn't work here, then I'm going to go and put 2 and then bring this down. And 5 goes into 20 now. 5 into 20 is 4 times. And then our final step here that we need to make sure that we're doing is to bring this decimal point straight up. And you want to keep this as neat as possible. So let's put that decimal point straight up. And so our answer of 2/5 is the same as 0.4 or 4 tenths. Alright, let's work on this one. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can change this to an improper fraction, or you can just deal with just the fraction. So I'm just going to deal with just the fraction, and then keep this 1 and put it on later. Okay? So let's go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and create the long division model. And then again, in, out, if you want to kind of remember that. So let's put that in here. So my 8 is going out, and I'm going to follow that with the top number going in. And again, I always start just 1 0. I mean, don't put zeros when you don't need it. It kind of just complicates the matter. So first of all, I'm going to go 8 into 1, and so that's going to give me 0. And so minus 0, that now brings me down with this 10. So now here, 8 into 10 is 1 time. So now I get to go multiply them together. That's minus 8. 1 times 8, that's where this 8 came from. And then this 10. 10 minus 8 is going to give me 2. Now, since I do have a remainder here, let's see if we can try to get rid of that. So I'm going to go ahead and add an extra 0. Because again, it doesn't change the value of my 1. It's still 1. So here, let's go ahead and bring this down. Now, can 8 go into 20? Yeah, about 2 times. So we're going to put 2 right here. So notice again, everything is in line and in order. So I'm going to go ahead and take 8 times 2, and that gives me now 16. And that gives me a remainder of 4 left. So right here, I have another remainder, so I'm going to go ahead and add one more 0 and see if that is going to help us out. Bring that all the way down. And then we notice that 8 can go to 40 about 5 times. And that's going to be 8 times 5 minus 40, and that leaves us with 0 remainders. Okay, so our final step here is we have one that ends at 0, so our answer is 0.125. But don't forget, we need to go and bring this decimal point straight up. So the answer of 1/8 is 0.125. Now don't forget, we still have this whole number, and again we can just add on to it at the end. So the answer is, so we just move that 1 right here, and that's where we got the 1 from, and then 0.125. And again, the other way that you can do this is you can change it to an improper and then do the same type of division and you'll get the same answer. Alright, let's go and work on this one. And so I'm going to go ahead and just do this rather quickly. It's the same process. So I'm going to have 9 on the outside. Here's my division symbol. 7 on the inside. And we notice that 9 cannot go to 7, so we're going to go ahead and put some helpers or holders. 9 into 70 is going to be about 7 times. 9 times 7 is going to give me 63. Subtract that. We have 7 again. Now what you're going to notice is that this 7, if you add an extra 0, that still becomes the same number right here. It's going to be 70 again, which means I'm going to need to put a 7 up here again. So we can stop it off at this point once you start noticing that there is going to be a pattern. And the pattern is going to have 7s completely throughout. So let's go ahead and make sure that our decimal is up on the right area. Let's put this up here. So our answer is going to be 0.7, and don't forget, it's going to have a line above it. Alright, probably want to take a pause if you need to take down anything. Alright. Okay, so now let's go to our second part. Our second part is writing decimals as fractions. And I'm going to give you a quick hint right here, a little tip. Place value determines a fraction. So all you really know is, or that you need to know, is what that place value is. So first decimal off of this is your 10th area, and 10th with the T-E-N-T-H. So all we have to do here is very, very simply just read your question, or read the problem. That's 0.4, or in this case, 4/10. Since it's 4/10, all we have to do is just write it as 4/10. 4/10. Then, final step, simplify. When you simplify, you find a number that they both have in common, and you can divide by that. Both 4 and 10 have 2 as a greatest common factor. Divide top and bottom by that, you'll have 2/5. That's the answer for the first one. Alright, let's look at this one. Now, this one was 4/10 because it was the first decimal place. This one, 2 decimal places. And if you notice, the first one, if it was just this, it would be 1 3/10. This is 1 35. And again, you guessed it, the next one would be hundredths. So, this is 1 35 hundredths. Again, how you look at the decimal placing is how you're going to go ahead and talk about the fraction or change it to that fraction. Here, I do notice that you can simplify, and you can probably simplify here or reduce by 5. So the answer is still going to have that 1, But now 35 divided by 5 is 7, because that's that common number you can divide by in both. Okay? Now I'm going to show you a quick trick on the ones with the bars. And these are called, again, repeating decimals. Here's a nice easy trick on this one. Because this is a common one, we automatically know this as 1/3. But I'm going to teach you a real tricky, neat little trick on how you got here. Notice that this is a repeating decimal. There's one repeating. So what you're going to do here is to just use this number over 9. So whatever the repeating is, over 9, and then you simplify. Okay, let's try it again. So here we have 2 repeating. So we're going to have 99 as our denominator, and then just put 15 on the top and simplify. If I simplify both top and bottom, I can divide top and bottom by 3. My answer is going to be 5 over 33. Alright, and here's our final repeating decimal. Again, very simple. You have 1, 2, 3 numbers that are repeating, so you're going to have 1, 2, 3 9s repeating, and then here 91 on top. This cannot be simplified, so we're going to keep that as the answer. And that's it. Nice little easy trick for those repeating decimals.